Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Four Horsemen Show Bonds Beyond Borders. I am Sagar from India, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by three of my best friends Natasha from Pakistan, Minhas from Bangladesh, and Tahira from Sri Lanka. We are four friends who met during the US State Department's Professional Fellowship Exchange program, and since then, we have been on a mission to bridge the gaps between our nations. So, we are excited to kick off a new series called Box Office from this day, where we will dive into different movie experiences from around the world. In today's box office episode, we are focusing on topics that means a lot to all of us, our unique movie theater experiences, and from the lively cinemas of South Asia and how they compare with those around the world. Let's warm up with the question that is on my mind. And can you guys tell me what's the one movie you always wanted to watch in theater but never got the chance? Either it's an old one or you didn't get to the theater or anything else. So let's start that. For me, if I say that Sholay is going to be my movie which I always wanted to see on the theater. The reason is that evergreen dialogues that are like कितने आदमी थे and Basanti in कुत्तों के सामने मत नाचना. So, just imagine this type of dialogue speaking on the screen, and everyone in the cinema laughing on it and shouting on it, and that was the experience that I didn't want it always to miss. So, for me, it's a story. But for let's start with Natasha. What do you say about that? Which is your favorite movie that you wanted to see in the theater?
Nice impression there, Sagar, for a Thakur, I think. Thakur was his name, or yeah. So, yeah, there are so many movies I'd love to catch on the big screen, but I think for me it would be Titanic. That's an absolutely epic. Imagine just experiencing Jack and Rose unforgettable I am flying scene. Even though it is really cheesy for me, but I still like it. And it's the intense moment when the ship hits the iceberg and all their grand cinematic glory of the cinema, the sheer scale and the emotional impact of those scenes would be incredible on a big screen, I believe.
For me, it would have to be the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Sweeping landscapes, epic battles, and the grand storytelling is meant for the big screen. And like I was immersed in the book when I watched the trilogy on TV, so I can just only imagine how fabulously grand it would feel on the big screen. It is very rare to see a good movie adaptation of a book. This is definitely one of them.
I would argue that it is the best of them actually because you spoke first. This is not fair because this is also the same with me. I also like crave for my entire life. I have craved for watching Lord of the Rings on big screen. I have actually like watched all the extended cuts of the three movies in countless times. I think in my home and like in friends' houses and why not. But what I always missed was to see it on big screen, and I did watch the Hobbit trilogy on big screen, and but it was not enough, of course. I mean, we are talking about a trilogy that has won 17 Academy Awards, right? So, and I kind of grew up with them. And all those battle cries in Helm's Deep or Minas Tirith battles and all that, I used to like take inspiration from those battle cries and movie dialogues that it had. And yeah, that is definitely the one that I have missed to watch on big screen. Yeah.
Let's also talk about the memorable experiences from our time in the USA. Like we got to chance by the our host to see different movies, and I think that there was three different movies, right? Fast and Furious was there, The Little Mermaid was there, and The Guardians of the Galaxy was there, and all three of we all 20 people differentiated in three different groups and watched those movies into theater in USA. But for me, like US theater was like the very silent one. People were like reserved compared to the lively and some may call it noisy atmosphere that we are used to be in India. And like if there was not CTs were on the screen when some big scenes coming up on the screen and people are shouting, I don't think that that is a movie kind of experience in the cinema, but I have missed that in the US. One more thing is that during that experience was that Natasha. Okay, so there was one lady, Natasha. Okay, and she cannot sit still in the movie. Okay, she is constantly going blah 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 blah. What is happening? Blah 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 blah. So that type of things she was doing, and she was constantly running up and down, and she cannot shut her mouth in the screen, so we were not able to watch the movie. So rather than having a one best experience in the movie, I think that to watch a movie with Natasha is also one of kind of experience. Okay, and it's a torture, hell of a torture. So next time when you are watching a trilogy, I think you should give a chance to sit next to the Natasha, so you can understand the pain that we had on that day. It is still inside our chest that, oh, why we invited her on the first place. So yeah, so for me that was something a quite unique experience. But let's hear it from the Natasha what she has to say, and she has to give
I
explanation on that.
I think I gave Sagar a pretty South Asian experience of the movies, because I can just not sit through a movie. So, I constantly went around and just, roaming around, walking around, getting refills for no reason, all because the serving size of the popcorn, it's not like a basket of popcorn, it's a tub of popcorn. It's huge. And let's just say that the serving size was so huge, it could literally have its own seat with us. And plus, the unlimited refills were a surprising treat we don't usually see back home. And, who would want a refill of a drum of drinks and a tub of popcorn? It's just unimaginable, right? The six of us were trying to tackle it. And I think I gave Sagar quite an entertainment in the movie. I think he doesn't even remember which movie he was watching because I was there by him. It, you know, but it also reminded me, of a Pakistani cinemas where the experience can be just as memorable, but in a different way. Uh, it. I once had a movie interrupted by a lively debate between the audience and the screen, and someone was actually shouting at the hero,
But
"Make a better decision. What is wrong with you? What are you trying to do? Do this, do that." And I'm like, okay, I'm not that annoying, am I? So, those colorful moments that making watching films in Pakistan a unique adventure, but sometimes annoying as well.
I think it was quite a surprise when Elani first told us about it before we actually went to the hall. So Elani Stain, who some people say that she's the sister of like famous South African cricketer Dale Steyn, but that's a different debate for some other day. So she was our program head, and she was kind enough to give us the American movie experience. And when she took us there, before just entering the hall, she basically said that, okay, these things are different than what you do in your place at home. Then we asked what was the difference. Then she said that people here do not talk. People here do not make any sound in the inside the theater. I'm like, what is she joking or what? All of us thought she was joking. She was just messing with us. But as soon as we went in, we understood what was happening. And people were looking at us because we were making noise because we could not help. The subcontinent people, they cannot help but make noises in the cinema hall. I mean, we all enjoy it when the hit movies hit our theaters, like the big hero doing an item song with the heroine maybe, and then big action scene, people are cheering for their heroes and all that. You go with your family and friends and they laugh their hearts out all together, you shout, you scream, you're so full of emotion. That only happens in the subcontinent. That did not happen there. That was not supposed to happen there. But since all of us went there, we did some of that. We did teach the American people who were at the show that this is how things happen in our theaters back home. So it was a good cultural exchange, I would say, good contrast. So yeah, what do you say, Tahira? What's your take on it?
Yes, I remember that moment very well, Minhas, because I was sitting right there with you. But from my perspective, the focused and quiet nature of the US cinema goers provided a sense of being back home for me. But if I was a regular to go to watch a Tamil movie back home, like in Sri Lanka, then the absence of noise and reactions from the US crowd would have made the experience feel more solitary, which is quite a contrast to the collective joy and energy Tamil movies bring back home. So in Sri Lankan cinemas, it's a mixed dynamic. The atmosphere is quite similar to the US when we watch an English movie. And on the flip side, the audiences often shares in the excitement with cheers and laughter, making it a more vibrant and communal event when we watch a Tamil or even an occasional Sinhalese movie as well.
So I would like to ask our audience one more question on based on that what do you prefer, guys? Means the noisy cinemas or do you prefer the quieter experience in the cinema? Share your thoughts in the comment. Let's jump on to the goosebumps moments that we had in theater. Like one of my favorite experience, if I would say that it is watching Avatar. So there was one scene coming up in the movie where they were going to the moving mountains. So flying mountains are coming on the screen, and every mountain is like flying, literally flying, and people are jumping from one to another. So let me tell you one more small things that I am having a phobia of height, so I cannot see from the even third or fourth floor. So people who knows me or who have put a small smile here, they know that how much it scares me. But to see that on the screen, it was like goosebump moments to me, that when they are moving, I feel like that I am going to fall off the screen and fall off that mountain. So yeah, that was the goosebump moment for me. It is still in my head, and I can still feel it, that the same feeling that I had that in cinema. So yeah, that's what cinema hall can do on your memories. Minhas, if you want to add something to that.
I have, since I watch a lot of movies and most of them I watch them on theater. So, two honorable mentions. One is definitely a recent one, Oppenheimer. So there's this scene in Oppenheimer where this showcase
True.
all the skeletons like laughing and making noise. And sometimes they're just dead silence. The transition when he is having a walk of fame, Oppenheimer. So it was so touching, and yeah, it was a goosebump moment. And I think same with Interstellar as well, that I had a similar experience. A Bengali movie, if I mentioned, was Hawa, like a movie that took place on a boat in the sea. So that one had some like moments like that, like some scenes where you can feel the boat moving on a rough sea. So that one with music and all that local music. But for me, I think the most memorable goosebump moment in the history of my watching like movies on theater was definitely the moment when you hear the noise that Captain on your left. So Captain America sees every Avenger like appearing beside him, all of them appearing. Those who basically vanished due to the snap, they all came back during Avengers Endgame, and everybody in that theater jumped on their toes, and maybe many people knew that it would happen, but still all of them jumped on their toes and they cheered for it. I also did that. So it felt like we are watching a live sports game, like but inside the theater. So the feeling was surreal. That was the goosebump moment for me.
Interesting, Minhas, and like you had a lot of options to choose from. Since you now you know that I cannot sit in cinemas still, so it's very difficult for me to choose and go to cinema and watch a complete movie. But one of my most memorable goosebump moments was during the Top Gun Maverick, and this
You mean
movie,
this one?
yes, exactly this one. And it was this movie actually captured my attention throughout. So I think it's just basically the directors and producers fault that I cannot sit through a movie. They should make it interesting so I can sit through it. But the scene where Maverick
Yeah,
pulls
best
off
love
the
to that.
impossible, yeah, the scene where Maverick pulls off the impossible low altitude flight to, prove that that the mission was achievable. And I was like literally sitting on the edge of my seat. The entire theater was holding its breath as he, navigated the terrain at the breakneck speed, showing that even after all these years, he still had that strength in him. So the thrill, the sound of the jets, and the sheer intensity of the moments were just unforgettable. What about you, Tahira?
Well, I don't know. I feel like Minhas keeps stealing my choices. So we have the same fabulous taste in movies. I will never forget when I watched Iron Man die in Avengers Endgame. Long story short, let's just say it was me who brought the drama into the cinema that day, with my tears and my rage, scolding everyone around me for bringing me to the cinema because I did not want to watch Iron Man die. I was like, why couldn't Captain America die? Why did Iron Man have to die? But yeah. However, my goosebumps moment has to be a Sri Lankan movie called Saroja. I watched as it released in the year 2000, amidst our civil war. It tells the story of two little girls, one Sinhalese and one Tamil, who form an unlikely friendship despite being on opposite sides of the conflict. It resonates so much with real-time hardship during at that time. The divide the war was trying to cause us as well. There wasn't a dry eye in the cinema that day. We were all one. We felt the pain and suffering from that movie together. And like I told you, our cinemas are not as theatrical as the three of yours are. So to just have that feeling and that energy was really powerful for us sitting in that cinema.
I think whether we are in a quiet theater or a lively one, these goosebump moments show how movies can connect us all. They remind us that the magic of cinema brings people together through shared emotion and experiences. In that moment, you are like different person. So, yeah, theaters can bring those type of experiences.
Pakistan had a very had its ups and downs with the cinema during military dictator era. Cinemas were shut down in Pakistan for a few years. So, this completely stalled the growth of the industry. But now the movie culture is making a comeback with people once again enjoying the shared experience and the nostalgia of the theater. And it's also because there's a ban on Indian movies in Pakistan. So that does give an option to Pakistani producers to create something that Pakistanis are going to watch. And it's actually, Pakistanis are actually producing good content, even if I compare it to the Indian movies that I have recently watched. I think we are producing quality content with limited resources, with limited budget. However, obviously, the viewership is still very, very low. But it's so unfortunate that India has banned Pakistani movies and we have banned Indian movies, especially since, there is such mutual appreciation. Indian loves our music and films and dramas. Pakistani dramas are really popular. And we in Pakistan have a
कि
huge
आपके लोग, आपकी
Bollywood
आवाम, आपकी
fan
कौम
base.
देखना
So,
चाहती है
while we are
हिंदुस्तानी फ़िल्में पाकिस्तान
inspired
में।
by the Bollywood, we now have our own style inculcated into our dramas and movies as well. Like, for example, there's a folk tale called Mola Jat, and there was a recent movie that was not recent, it has been a while. It was a beautiful movie. It was worth watching in a cinema, and it was the storyline was interesting. The dialogues were, much more realistic, and the sets were beautiful. All of it was just perfect for a cinema. So, Pakistan is having a comeback. It's slow, but I really hope that we do get to see some bright shining light at the end of the tunnel for our cinema.
Quite a good one, Natasha. So, as you said, that we all share mutual, like we love Pakistani music and you guys love movies. So, and when we are talking about the cinema and how it transforms, so I am watching cinema halls since like now 24 years, and the first experience that I had with, do you remember that we used to have the single screen theater cinemas where which were like big screen, and there were two types of sitting arrangements in that. One is a upper and second one is called balcony, and you don't get the tickets very easily, so you need to buy tickets from the black market. So it was one of the hell of a experience that this new generation is definitely going to miss. But there was one theater we used to have in our city where you can literally feel mouse running below your legs. So we we have seen that type of cinemas too, and these big 70 fit screen and everything. And then comes the, when I used to be in a college, it comes the era of the multiplex cinemas where the screen got bit smaller and the experience got uh, brighter. And then the recent one where we call the OTT era, where people or the new generation wants to see the movie at their home's comfort. And now people want to watch their movies according to their time, their comfort, and their preferences, like Natasha and other people who used to have that if they will see half of the movie today and half of the movie tomorrow. So I don't know how that works, but yeah, she does that a lot.
Well, in Sri Lanka, movie theaters have long been cherished as cultural hubs, offering a blend of local and international films that shape and reflect our diverse society. So it's celebrated by everyone. So Tamil movies to to Sinhalese to English to all of that. So from classic Sinhala films to the latest Hollywood, Bollywood, and Hollywood blockbusters, our theaters serve as a melting pot for cinematic experiences. And I feel like movies like Ray Carver and the directors as well, they kind of inspired Sri Lankan cinema to evolve in that sense. There's more than just places to watch movies. There's spaces where stories come alive and communities come together.
I think we have that as a common, like in our culture as well. So, um, I think going to movies with family or friends like is still a big thing. Like it's a thing to do. It's a celebratory moment, or it's a fun thing to do still with friends and with. Especially in the capital, where entertainment facilities are limited to mostly restaurants and a few gaming zones that are like with a lot of traffic jam happening around, so there is not much to do. So movie theaters are one of the things that are keeping, let's say, the hangouts fun and different, at most of the time. And in terms of the history and how it evolved, I think like what Sagar said about Indian cinema halls, like having like rats under the seats. I think that you might find some of them in some distant parts of Bangladesh too, even nowadays as well, because there were like so many cinema halls built like in like ages before, and many of them still remain, and they are kind of the only source of like group
And
modern entertainment for people in the rural areas still now, and they still look forward to those. But in bigger towns, I think this has evolved. So there's one franchisee that kind of rules the scene, which I'm wearing the T-shirt of as well. So they're called like Star Cineplex, and they have kind of like the best halls by far compared to all, and they have their like branches like throughout the country. So they offer like very good experience when you're watching like really good movies in terms of like technological advancement, and they bring all sorts of movies as well. And that I think also inspired the Bengali directors like to make movies like that are fit for big screen, let's say blockbuster movies with like big action heroes and all that. Recently Tufan was a big hit, like both in Bangladesh and also in many other countries as well, so they released it like globally. So and if the theaters experience was not good in here and it was not better, then people might not have like the director Mr. Rafi, he might not have thought about like doing something like that, like releasing a blockbuster like that, because that's typically we see from Bollywood. And so that was a good thing to do, I guess. But we do have like other films that do well in terms of like cinema here. And when I was a child, it was like, as I said, when you Sagar asked me the first question, that what did you miss watching in the theater? So it was one of my complaints that why couldn't I watch those movies like in the theaters. So now I can watch every blockbuster when it gets released. In fact, I might watch Deadpool tomorrow. So yeah, so it's getting better, but yeah, I will. But I'm just curious about what do you all think about the technological advancement in here? Because as we know that technologies are evolving and the movie experiences are also evolving.
What's next for movie theaters in Sri Lanka? I'm just wondering. Well, with technology advancements and streaming services on the rise and the landscape of cinema like evolving, like for example, like we just like we I know it's nothing new for y'all, but we just opened our first IMAX in Sri Lanka, so yay. So we can see it happening right before our eyes even still in Sri Lanka. However, traditional theaters still hold a special place in our hearts. The charm of a big screen, the communal experience, like Sagar mentioned, you can't match it. And the nostalgia of classic cinema, all while holding a stemless icy chalk in one hand and a badly seasoned popcorn in the other will always have their appeal. Like, I don't know if you all had it there. This icy chalk that didn't have a stem, you have to like eat it like this. Well, in Sri Lanka, I have to mention this again. Films like Ray Carver, right? They significantly influenced the film industry cinema in the island, and that's what, like I mentioned before, did like the Sri Lankan cinema evolved because of it. As we look ahead, it's exciting to think like how it has evolved from like movies from Saroja to now Machang. It has been evolving and it's just getting better. And along with those movies evolving with the technology, you see the cinemas evolving with it as well. And this, yeah, so like it's just keeping the innovation is still keeping the essence alive.
Looking ahead, I think OTT platform and all those things that are like recent streaming platforms coming in that has changed the landscape of movie distribution altogether. Now you see one movie being released on theater, at the same time you see a date for like streaming release as well, and it's widely popular, of course. And we do have the debate ongoing, raging like for a few years now, as we have seen different cinema halls being shut down due to the rise of like OTT platforms. But what I think is that the rise of these streaming platforms is only better for the industry because it lets you like create better content. And as long as movie theater experience remain to be like a very exclusive thing, so there will always be demand for this, no matter like what good television or home theater system you have it at your home. Watching a movie with your friends and having an experience like Sagar had with Natasha is priceless. So yeah, I think that part will always be the same.
Indeed, Minhas. I think the actual, even Tahira mentioned the cinema experience of having those, that smell of popcorn and that nostalgic feeling that you get is what makes a cinema more interesting. So it's never going to lose its market for sure. But yes, the cinemas need to have a trajectory where they are actually improving and making the experience better. Like, for instance, in Pakistan, we have IMAX technology already in Lahore. I'm not sure about Karachi. We have good cinemas like Q Cinemas here as well, which was basically and recliner seatings and different kinds of different seating available just for the comfort of the audience. So to stay competitive, cinemas can further embrace new technologies like high definition projections such as laser IMAX and immersive sound systems such as Dolby Atmos. So, offering conveniences like allowing viewers to order food from any vendor and have it delivered to their seats could also enhance the experience, I believe. Uh, and also, for me, if they ban caramelized popcorns, I would go to cinemas. What about you, Sagar?
Yeah, means I would always like to watch movies in the theater. So compared to the OTT platform, I don't prefer OTT platform that much because I like to see on a bigger screen, not the smaller one that right now there are lots of small theaters are coming up. But I always like to see on the 70-foot big screen. So that's it. But as OTT is rising and theater needs to provide some better experiences, as you said, in terms of other services, so it will thrive, and I hope that it will thrive because I really want to see movies in the theater compared to OTT. And let's to wrap up today's discussion. We have seen how cinema is in subcontinent is not just about watching a film, but about experiences, as we had already discussed, as a community. Despite the rise of digital streaming, movie and movie theaters remain cultural hubs where people come together to share stories, emotions. And before we sign off today, we would love to hear from you, all viewers, that how do you think movie theaters can improve to attract more people in this age of streaming? And let us know your thoughts that what should be there and what shouldn't be there in the theater. And remember, the magic of cinema connects us all, both within the subcontinent and across the world. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.